George, Hannah, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate your time today. I know you've had a mad one coming back from the Isle of Wight this morning. I won't go into too much detail of what else happened, but like I say, I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
So just for the benefit of people who may not know you, which, I suppose in the property space is very few, but people who listen to this podcast, local business people, people who sort of focus on mindset as well. So just for the benefit of, for the listeners, introduce yourself. So Hannah, ladies first.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Hannah. I'm one half of Dugard Property.
Yeah, I'm George, the other half of Dugard Property. So that's us really. In terms of introducing the Dugard Property brand, we predominantly work in the deal sourcing field. We have a deal sourcing company. We build our own portfolio through the buy, refurbish, refinance model, but also have different exits such as flip exits as well that work in the same sort of deal. We have our own rent to rent portfolio. Specifically rent to serviced accommodation, and that's pretty much us in a nutshell. We do a few, well, I say a few, we've got 5 flat conversions going on in Cardiff at the moment as well, so we're sort of creeping into the development field as well. So that's Hannah and George and Dugard Property in a nutshell.
Yeah,
pretty busy then, not taking it lightly. So when did you guys start? I remember seeing seeing you come up the ranks, that's probably not the right term, but first starting out, doing the social media. I remember, George, you did a video ages ago, it wasn't one of your strongest points, was it? You was a bit like, I remember you saying, getting out your comfort zone. Now, obviously it seems completely natural what you're doing. So how have you found that, like the transition, obviously where you first started and then obviously to where you are now?
I think you're referring to the video where I said about my anxiety back in the past and putting myself out my comfort zone and becoming confident in certain situations. Is it that one?
I think so, yeah. I think it was quite a while ago. I don't know. I just remembered it now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I used to be a very anxious person in certain situations, especially on podcasts, on, even meeting clients and things like that. But I feel like you have to sort of get comfortable being uncomfortable, if you know what I mean. I think that's saying that gets thrown around quite a lot, but it's so true. And I've read a lot of books that have also changed my mindset about things. So, rather than think, all the really bad things, it's you replace those thoughts with things like, look, what's the worst that can happen? And you start to just relax in those situations. I think I've become a lot more confident in a lot of things, especially in client meetings. I do all my client meetings by myself now. But to begin with, it was quite daunting right at the beginning, considering my social anxiety and stuff. But I think that answers your question.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate, especially the property industry. If you haven't been in property, even when I first started out, walking into a room, I would say I'm quite a confident person anyway, but going into a room, I remember saying, "Yeah, I'm a deal source," and they're like, "Have you sourced any deals?" You're like, "No." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You feel like an absolute fraud, but you've got to go out there, like you say, get out your comfort zone. Yeah. Obviously, you've reaped rewards, the both of you. I mean, like I said, rent to rent, BRR, flips, essays, developments. When did you start? How many years has this been? And have you always been full time?
So we opened Dugard Property in June of 2019. So prior to this, I had zero background in property. For me, a house was kind of 4 walls and that was it. That was all to it. I've always been in IT, or was always in IT. George and I met when we were both traveling. So George is from the Isle of Wight. I'm from just north of Cardiff. So we did long distance for a while. And I think a year in, it kind of all lined up quite naturally, didn't it? But George's background's in law, but actually when he was traveling, he went into operations, and when he came back, went into plastering and rendering. So George was more hands-on and had more experience from that perspective. And he was plastering on the Isle of Wight when the guy he was working with was going to, was it Canada?
Yeah.
For a few months. And George and I had been toying with opening a business for ages, and we were trying to find out what was going to be the right one for us. We came up with so many different ideas, and property is the one that stuck. So we kind of just said, well, you're kind of not in employment at the moment. Now is the best time, if anything. You move into Wales anyway. why don't you move and let's open the business and see how we get on, and if it doesn't work then get another job, and if it works then great. So George was full-time from the very beginning, and luckily for us it worked. I think we've been on the steepest learning curve ever. I was an account manager at the time for an IT company, but I was actually still doing my degree as well. So I didn't actually leave. I didn't make the leap until January 21. Yeah, 2021. We were holding on to it as a bit of a safety blanket. We wanted to make sure we got our home first, got our mortgage, got what we wanted before we took, and this is the thing people forget. If people are so quick to like leave their job, and I'm like, but you need an income if you want to buy a property, you need to pass referencing, and you need, if you want to buy even your own residential, you need to pass certain checks. So we always say to slow that bit down. But yeah, a year we'd had a VA. I'd left in January 2021, and ever since then we've hired a further 3 full-time UK staff, and we've got a new job ad out in addition for an additional role now as well. Actually, we've hired another person.
Yeah, and we've got someone who's going to be managing the full company for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've slowly hired. We haven't hired at a massively fast pace, but we've hired at stages where we think we've had to take real sensible decisions and try and cut back where we can, sort of thing, to make the business profitable. So we that's sort of where we're at now, isn't it?
Yeah, we bought our first property in the summer of 2020. So we did a year of sourcing first, because the reason we got into sourcing was to build capital to invest.
Yeah.
So we did sourcing for a year, then we started investing ourselves, and it's kind of just gone crazy since.
Yeah, and like I said, I've watched from a distance, I guess, seeing what you've been doing, and like I say, you have grown. And I mean, 3, 4, well, is it 4 staff or 3? Because you said you had someone else coming in as well.
Yeah, so we've got 4 full-timers now, with a VA on the side and a new job rollout at the moment. So there'll be 6 of them in total.
Yeah, 8 of us.
8 of us in total.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy growth then. And how did you find being full-time? Like you said, Hannah, well, I went full-time in October, but it's quite important. Like you say, people do forget about the actual main things in life, whether they want a mortgage or not. Yeah, you got the affordability for the mortgage. My wife, she was a bit dubious. Like, we actually just moved just before I went full-time, so luckily, obviously, we had our second mortgage. We sold our old house and moved on a new one. But it's like life costs, and when things crop up, you rely on the business income, don't you? On that, so you need to be profitable, or at least making some good income in order to be able to do that. Even on rent to rents, people forget your affordability. You still need to have an affordability of 30 times the monthly rent, which obviously having no salary is a key point as well. So in terms of the sourcing, and what properties do you source? Is it just the BRR? Is it doing what you do, or do you source across all strategies?
Yeah, so I mean, when we first began, we wanted to do everything and anything and in every location. But the key thing for us is focusing and having a strategy. So we are South Wales based. We do have the odd thing outside of South Wales, but that's where we actively source. Buy-to-let is our main strategy, using the buy, refurbish, refinance method is what our investors are after. So that's what we've grown our business on. We'll always stick to strategies that George and I are investing in at the same time. So we want to make sure we've done it a few times. So we've just started doing flat conversions, as George has mentioned. So over time now, as we start doing more of them, we'll probably start to source them as well. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment it's the buy-to-lets, isn't it? Whether it's buy, refurbish, refinance, or flips.
Yeah, and then we've taken on about 3 or 4 months ago. I think it is now. We took on Grace, who is our rent to service accommodation specialist, and she sources rent to service accommodation deals as well. Okay,
fantastic. So you've got your rent to service accommodation. The conversion you do, what is it? A pub that you're converting into 5 flats? Is it an office?
So we've got a few things really. We've got one in Cardiff, which is currently an accountancy firm, and that's being converted to 3 2-bed flats and 1 1-bed via an extension. And then all the others are just houses, just big houses that are being converted into multiple units. One of them is being converted into 4 2-beds, and then we're building a coach house down the bottom of the garden because it's got a lot of space. one of them was an 8-bed HMO, which we've converted into two beds and a 1-bed, and the others are just big houses that we've converted into multiple units, basically, just adding that value through conversion.
Yeah, and I suppose a lot of people entry level don't sort of see them opportunities today because it's probably a bit big and scary for them. Do you find that like once you source your first few properties, do your first few refurbs, they all sort of become not samey, but like, you know, you're not as scared to do the next one. I remember the first flip I did, I'd never taken down a wall, you know, got calcs and put a steel in or anything like that, and I was nervous of fucking doing that. And now we're similar to, well, not similar to you guys, but we're doing an office conversion as well. So first property bought same year, 2020, going from a couple of buy-to-lets to now doing office to residential conversion. So what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of people who actively go out there and work their arse off, you know, they will reap the rewards and will be able to scale. Obviously, you guys are evidence for that. So you touched on earlier as well, training, and I speak to some people about training because it's one of these big sort of elephants in the room, isn't it? Training. I've undergone a mentorship in 2020. Did I get as much value out of it as I could have done? Probably not, because the world went mad and couldn't do face-to-face meetings and things like that. But what I found is the people within the mentorship and the training, you probably get a lot of value from. Do you mind sharing what sort of training you've done, whether it's property related or business related?
Yeah, so from at the beginning of our journey, we didn't do any training. The only training we did was free courses to give us sort of the foundations. And then we went and did our own education through YouTube videos, podcasts, books, networking, all that sort of thing. So we were self-taught up to a certain point. We have done some training on commercial to residential, which was a course. However, we really haven't implemented that very much. We were going to start going down that field, but we got quickly dragged back to life because you can't do too much, and you have to stay focused, and that's something that we learned at a certain point and was like, no, let's just not go down that field. It's good. We're going to open a new can of worms. So on top of that, we've got mentorship at the moment, and it's absolutely amazing. It's kept us very, very focused, and I feel I'm advocate all the time the fact that as soon as you stay focused and stay on the certain things that you think are the most profitable, that you're the best at and that you want to do, that's when you see the proper results. I mean, you can go to all these different property courses and, you know, get shiny penny syndrome because you saw how Bob got $1 million from this in a year and you suddenly want to jump to that. But, you know, you really do need to stay focused on what you're doing and become a master of that rather than being a jack of all trades. So, yeah, the course that we're on at the moment is brilliant. It's awesome. It's a course sort of mentorship. It's like a year sort of course mentorship, and it's really, really great in the fact that it helps you so much with the property side of things and the education, which really we didn't need too much of, but it always helps.
Yeah, of course.
And then on top, and it gives you different ideas as well, especially when you're chatting with the people within the group and stuff, and springs new ideas and stuff. But the mental health side of it and the focus side of it and all that side of things, they've got like 2 different sides to the mentorship, and that side really, really helped us.
Just having someone as a soundboard, isn't it? I mean, when you start going into business, I mean, George's dad's got some rentals, but they're not in property and they're not running their own businesses. So you can complain all day long to them and talk them through your challenges, and there's not really much that they can relate to help with. And with us too, we'll rile each other up. So like if we're bored one day, we'll go off on massive tangents, you know, let's start building houses, let's start doing this, then we'll get super excited. And then we'll have a call with our mentor and she's like, but I thought you wanted more time. I thought you wanted, you know, to work smart and not be more busy. So why aren't you staying focused? And we're like, yeah, good point. Okay.
She pulls you back down to earth.
She pulls us back down, which we need because we get massively excited all the time.
Every day we've got a new idea.
Yeah, and I think you can, because property and business, it's so varied, isn't it? Like I'm the same, and like you say, I think focus is key. When I first started Shiny Penny, I was like, right, I'm sourcing. What am I going to source? Fucking everything. Like literally, like buy to let, rent to rent. You know, all money out. Yeah, fuck it. I'll get one of them. You know, and I just think, and
you buy you a bridge in finance. Yeah, I can still do it. It's fine. Don't worry.
Exactly. Yeah, no worries. What you want? 40 flats done. But like, And it wasn't until I sat down with someone who was way ahead of me and was like, look, you know, you need to focus on what you want to achieve. And I was similar to you. Like, I wanted to get into property investing, but I didn't have the capital. So I thought I'll source and I'll use that. Fortunately, I met my business partner through sourcing. And obviously we've done it that way. But if I didn't just focus on buy to lets and what I wanted to achieve, then, you know, wouldn't be doing that. And now just still source buy to lets, basically BRR, flips. At the minute, I'll be honest, I'm not getting as many BRRs as I was last year because the market's gone mad. I don't know how it is in South Wales. I went to a viewing the other day, offers over 80k. I said, yeah, 81k cash offer. They was like, oh no, you've been pip loads, you've been smashed.
Yeah, some of the offers, like even just tracking the auctions, there's some crazy buyers. But we were having this conversation. We were out for food with some friends the other night, and there was a few estate agents there, and they were saying the same thing. They were like, since auctions have gone to online and you don't physically need to be in the room anymore, anyone can just log on and bid. And, you know, there's people in London who will see a house in the valleys for 70k and think, bargain, like I'll just buy that, and they'll just keep bidding, not realizing there's a ceiling price. And people said, didn't they? There was a property that sold at auction. Someone bought it for 128 and then walked into the estate agents and said, right, when I do it up, how much is it going to sell for? And they were like, 130. You've paid way over what you should have done. And it's like, no one's thinking of these things.
No, and I'm just hoping that you know, they've all probably paid for it, all going through their mortgages now. You know, they've refurbished, all applying for finance, and you all get stung. And then they realise that they need people like us to actually go and do it for them to make them some money. So fingers crossed it dies down a bit, but it is crazy out there. I want to touch on the dynamic between you two. Obviously, you're getting married this year, like I said off there. Congratulations on that. It will fully be Dugard Property. Both. Are you sharing the name?
Yes. Yeah,
you are. Okay. could have been an awkward question, that, couldn't it, really? On there.
Well, that's how I managed to get the name Dugard Property, because Hannah said, well, you're going to have to marry me then.
I did propose. Wait, that was, you made it sound like I proposed. I didn't.
On me and everything, Hannah,
business, I was like, we can have Dugard because it sounds good as long as you propose. And then he did a few months later, so it was fine.
Ah, fantastic. Brilliant. So obviously you met traveling. Where did you meet?
Malaysia.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. So I met my wife in Australia, to be fair. So you're like me, George. We up sticks from the south and moved a bit further up north.
Yeah.
Pays off though, doesn't it? I guess, following girls around the country. So what's the dynamic like in terms of, you know, George and yourself, Hannah? Who takes care of what? Who's the people person? Who deals with all, you know, hiring and firing, and who deals with the day-to-day operations? Or is it shared?
This is something we actually really struggled with to begin with, because when we started the business, it was like we both wanted to do everything, and even though we'd been together for a while, we didn't really know each other's strengths and weaknesses, so it was trial and error. It was so frustrating to begin with, wasn't it? Like I'm quite quick on computers. And then like watching George type a document, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill him. I was like, this is so painful. But then like on the flip side, George be trying to question me on how much is a refurb. And he was like, stop talking.
Yeah.
So we've managed to fit quite nicely into our roles. So I'd say, George, you manage the team a lot more because they are primarily all sourcers, and you run the sourcing arm. Everything goes through George. He'll review everything. He trains the team in the sourcing, so you're definitely more hands-on in that sense and with the builders.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm kind of more focused on systems, processes, HR, finances, and then our property, so raising the finance, all the legal side. So I'd say I'm more business, potentially more back end, apart from our private investors, and you're
more managing of the team, sourcing and marketing, really.
I suppose it's a good split, because it would be awkward if you're both really good at the same thing. Yeah. And then obviously all the other stuff.
Well.
It did work out quite well. It just like sort of fell into place though. Like we didn't know our skills, and it just suddenly just like went well. I don't know. You know, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, it did just fall into place, and we got completely different skill sets, and it's worked well because we're both good at the different and things.
Very different personalities as well, which was fun to begin with, because I'm a bit of a spender and I'll take
Just
a
like my
risk.
wife, bloody hell. It must be a girl thing.
And I'm quite impulsive. I'm just a bit like, what's the worst that can happen? But George is very analytical, and yeah, you're well, you like to spend a bit more now, but
I suppose you meet in the middle though on that. Like,
yeah.
for example, you know, it pulls it together and you have a rationale behind, obviously, when you're
Yeah.
purchasing and doing things like that. Sometimes you need a bit of the impulse, because if you don't act quick enough, you're going to miss out.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's a good weighting, 50-50 there, really. I always ask that question because I'm intrigued to know how you both work, how you both operate. Like, my wife couldn't give a toss what I do, really. I'll start talking to her about refurb. She says, you can remember refurb numbers, but you can't remember anything that I said or any timing. So I suppose, you both being involved in the business works really well.
It does, apart from it's very difficult to then switch off.
Yeah.
So like, we went to Ibiza in September to finalize all of our wedding stuff. And I was like, the business is fine. We are actually having time off. We haven't had time off in so long and disturbed. And then like George would keep disappearing from the pool. And I'd look on my phone and then like WhatsApp messages would come up in the group. And I was like, oh my God, this boy, like he can't switch off. So I'd say that would probably be the downfall, isn't it? Like, even when we walk the dog, we're like, right, this is an hour, no business zone. And then it's like 10 steps in. It's like, oh, I had this idea.
Yeah. But yeah, like you say, it's trying to compartmentalize, isn't it? Business and personal life. But when you're living together, working together, running a business together, it's probably difficult. And like you say, you soundboard off each other. You've got an idea, like, brilliant, let's do this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sounds good. So what's the future hold then, barring weddings? I'm talking more business and property, but like you've obviously got your stuff ongoing at the minute. Where do you see your business going in the next few years?
Good question. I think for us, we've got some quite high targets that we want to meet from a rental perspective. So we hold the majority of the stuff we buy. I'd probably say about 80-90% we hold. We're big into, I know you can make some really good money doing flips. Like, we do sell a majority of our conversions, but we want that income coming in every month. I think the goal for us is, as we ramp up the businesses, the staff will take more of a lead on Dugard Property. I mean, we've got our overall manager coming in now who's going to kind of step in front of us and take over, and we'd be way like escalation points. Yeah. But I think for us, we definitely want to massively ramp up the portfolio, so that we can probably have a bit more time out. I think especially through COVID, we did really well through COVID, in terms of business just went crazy. I think a lot of people were at home wanting to invest, wanting to use sources. So that was really good for us. But we worked ridiculous hours and burnt out and went through some like proper bad times, I'd say, as well. We learned our like biggest lessons last year. So I think what we're wanting to do now is, instead of, working super long days, is we want to start having, we only work 3 days a week for these set hours and go from there. And now we've put in years of effort, try and reap some of the rewards. We want to be traveling a bit more as well while still working, so trying to fit it all in.
So I suppose in a nutshell, essentially bringing in our manager to run the sourcing company, but it's the person who we're bringing on is business growth. So we'll come in and find areas to grow the business with our escalation. So have a chat with us about the decisions, but come up with the ideas and put them in place, sort of thing. We've already got some ideas between us. We've already been training him on the side. So we've got ideas of where we're going to go and take the company. It would be nice to we're probably at around about 10 deals on average a month at the moment. So it'd be nice to get to 20 in the next couple of years. On the side, scale our BRR portfolio at the pace we're sort of doing at the moment, which is probably, we have actually put ourselves on a bit of a ban at the moment with buying properties because our mentors told us off. So we've put ourselves on a bit of a ban, and it's probably a good idea because we want to actually enjoy our honeymoon as well. Yeah. So we're probably going to put ourselves on a ban now, but it would be nice when we're back, when we're back in action, probably one a month we'd buy from the BRRs. And then on the flat conversion side, we're probably doing about 3 or 4 a year, aren't we?
Yeah, 1 a quarter.
And just stick with that for now. We don't actually have any massive steps forward apart from that. at the moment, because our goal at the moment is to get ourselves more time, and then we'll probably get more time and then be like, right, we need another business venture.
Yeah, need to fill it.
Yeah.
Need to fill the time. Oh, well, sounds like you've got a lot of plans. I mean, one a month is, well, to some people it might be really ambitious and difficult, but if you're sourcing them, 10 a month anyway, you probably pick the best one. How do you go about sourcing? Like, what have you found has been your best strategy for sourcing? So obviously there's various ways. When you go on training, they teach you like leaflets, flyers, all that sort of crap. Like, that's not something I focus on. I think it's time intensive for very little returns. Social media ads, estate agents, like what do you find has been the most successful route for sourcing?
Agents.
Yeah, for us, it's just the agent relationships, just building agent relationships. That's 100% been our biggest success. We have had success in other things, for example, direct to vendor, some bits and pieces, just our name around. Sorry about the dog. Just some of the our name being put around the valleys and the community and stuff. And if someone wants to sell a property and they want a quick cash sale, then they would come to us and have a chat with us. To be honest with you, we've tried a lot of direct to vendor marketing and stuff. None of it's really come to much. But then again, we've never put in full amount of effort and consistency into things like letters. Whereas I know some people do get some good results from stuff like that if they're consistent, but they have to be like very consistent, as in like it has to be probably a year of just keep going every single week, boom, 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 and then you'll start seeing the results. But our return on investments come a lot better from building relationships with multiple estate agents.
They do hold the majority of the market though.
No, you're definitely right there. And a lot of people say about going in and buying them donuts, like they don't give a shit about that, do they? They just want you to buy the properties, because at the end of the day they get paid when their property sells. And you don't even need 20 agents. You only need a good three or two, as long as they feed you the opportunities. What's the stock like at the minute over in South Wales? I mean, I've spoken to agents and I've been asked for some stock. It's literally just not coming through as quick as it used to, just because the fact is, well, all being sold.
The stock isn't great, really, is it?
It's weird, because I think, was it January that was absolutely mental, and it was like, okay, this isn't slowing down anytime soon. And then February, was it this way around? February, it went really quiet, and the agents were like, we need more, we haven't got enough, it's gone super quiet. But then it's ramped up again this month, so I feel like it's a bit wavy. But I do think at some point there's going to be, because obviously through COVID, a lot of probate and repossessions and everything got held up, and we haven't seen many of them come to the market at all. So I still think there's a huge backlog with solicitors somewhere with those. So I do think in the coming months there's going to be a huge load of those properties come through. But yeah, I think we've still got a good deal flow monthly, but as you said, that's from like a handful of really good agents that we work with. But other than that, it's just
I can definitely see the market slowing down though. Definitely. It's come to the point now where things aren't really going any higher on price. And but
they're still selling for a high price, which is the annoying thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they are, but they're not going up any further. And to be honest with you, like around South Wales as well, like things used to just fly off above asking from calls from London, all this sort of thing, and it just used to be absolutely mental. Whereas sometimes now you do actually get a call from an agent. Like, you didn't used to, but sometimes you do actually get a call from an agent saying like, this has been on the market for a while, are you interested? Like, but yeah, so it is. To be honest, the stock is low and it is absolutely bonkers still, but I think it's a little bit better than about a year ago.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And property's cyclic, isn't it? It's in cycles. It might be the fact that back end of this year, loads more stock comes through and gives people a lot of opportunity. But I suppose when the market's like this, it's reassessing. And how do you still continue? Do you pivot? Do you continue doing what you're doing, working harder, etc., etc.? So that's quite an interesting point, because a lot of people try to steer clear from agents. They never think that you can get good deals for agents. Obviously, you guys have proved that you can. I personally have done a lot of my stuff direct to vendor, just more through word of mouth. More stuff with agents now. But what do you say then about investor finance? So you got the deal, or not just investor finance, you're finding investors. So primary source of properties is through agents. How would you say you found the investors?
Social media.
Social media.
Yeah, social media is the key. Word of mouth is obviously a big one, but to even start the word of mouth, you have to advertise initially, which social media is amazing, and then obviously providing a good service so there's repeat business is great. But yeah, social media is definitely the number one. That's where we've attracted all of our investors. I mean, we have attracted a fair few from networking. When we first started, we did a lot of networking. We don't do as much networking anymore. Mainly because of the return on investment's not as high as going on social media. But, you know, sometimes we do go out networking. We do like to go and actually see people physically, and it's quite, you know, we enjoy it as well. So, yeah, it's definitely networking is one, and social media is the next. And then obviously just provide a good service and have the repeat business and word of mouth then.
Yeah, it's quite, I sort of asked that question preempting your answer. I probably knew it. Like I said, I see you guys post a lot, and the last, two sources that I've had on have said the same thing. Social media, like if you're not posting and you're not putting videos and photos up, like, you know, one of the last guys, Sammy, was saying, you know, because a lot of people have a block about what their mates might think of them, or what, you know, people who aren't interested in property might think, wow, you know, what are you posting all this shit for? But then, you know, Facebook algorithms put it in front of the people that you want to attract anyway, doesn't it, through likes and things. So I remember when I first started out doing my first live video, absolutely trembling, thinking, bloody hell, you know, what am I talking about? And it just comes more natural, doesn't it, the more you do it, I guess. What platform do you find works best? I tend to probably do Instagram stories and share it to Facebook, or I might do the odd, for investors, I'll go down LinkedIn route now more. I'm finding a lot more on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I find they all have different benefits. Like YouTube's sort of like your Bible when you're in your content and showing like your story, like or you know, it's more videos, it's more visual, people can engage with you a bit more.
I'll be putting this on YouTube, by the way, for everyone listening. So
cool.
I'll be putting this. Yeah,
so that's YouTube. It's like your Bible. It's like that's good because you can get some video graphic content. LinkedIn's brilliant because you've got a lot of business people on there, and you've got a lot of people actually going on that platform to do their business and their work. So yeah, like you said, there's a lot of investors that you can find on there. So I do find LinkedIn is brilliant for that. The only problem with LinkedIn is the amount of spam you get is ridiculous.
Yeah, loads.
It's filtering through that spam is just an absolute headache. It kills me. But
you get the same messages from about 10 different people as well. Like I usually find it's a specific mortgage broker like message, and I get from 10 different people, and it's exactly the same copy.
Exactly. But the organic reach is still sort of there as well with LinkedIn, which is good. Like we put a post out the other day, and it got like, we haven't posted on LinkedIn in a while. We posted like for the first time in like 2 or 3 weeks, and it just got 4,000 views. And it's like, that doesn't happen on Instagram or Facebook. Still got that organic reach, which is awesome.
George really enjoys social media. I have nothing really to do with it. So
you're not a fan?
I'm not very good with it. George enjoys it, and I just.
What I find with social media is like, if I'm on it and I do so, like, I might post about it, but then by the time I actually sit down and think about it, it's like, once I put my daughter to bed, it's 7 o'clock, and I think, well, I'm not going to start doing videos about property now at 7 o'clock while I'm sat in the front room. Like, unless I'm out there doing it, then, you know, I should probably schedule posts, repurpose stuff and post it out. But social media is not my forte. Do you know what I mean? It's not something that I'd feel I'm good at, so I try not to. I should get a VA to do all the social stuff, really.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for George, we wouldn't have social media, because I would.
We have a VA who does all the video editing for us and repurposing content and stuff like that, which is cool. But, you know, does all the hashtags to get a wider reach and all that sort of stuff, does some engagements. But yeah, she's brilliant. She helps us out a lot, because really all I do is write the posts and do the, you know, get some videos in and stuff like that, and she just repurposes it. But Facebook as well, that's good, because you can actually leverage other people's communities and groups and stuff. And, you know, you don't want to be salesy on them, but just coming in and offering your advice. And, you know, I always go by what Gary Vee says, is go on like someone's post that's got a lot of engagement. Say, for example, it's got 1,000 likes and 1,000 comments, for example, and put a meaningful comment on that post that really does mean something, it's some really good advice, and you've just leveraged off someone else's post and just got tons and tons of recognition, that's the word, isn't it? Yeah, so that's I like Facebook because of the community element of it as well. And it's also good to just actually build your knowledge as well. Like if you have a question about something, or want to reach out to for recommendations of a certain trade, a certain professional, you can put them into the groups and stuff, which is awesome. But Instagram is my favorite. I left that till last because I think it's brilliant. A lot of people are on the stories all day long, so just documenting your journey all day long in the story, people are actually relating to you all day long and seeing what you're doing and almost becoming like a fan, if you know what I mean, watching you, and obviously with the posts, try and post as much as you can as well, I think, because people are all into visual content these days, and that's what Instagram's all about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the reach you can get on Insta, I think I did a video, was it this morning or yesterday, video or post on the story, it was like 176 people, which isn't a lot, but that was when I last checked it. But then if you think, to get in front of a room and for 176 people to actually look at what you're doing or listen to you is very difficult. And in terms of like the time, a couple of minutes to post on Instagram, do you do all the reels and that? Do you get involved with the reels?
Yeah, we've done a few reels. We usually do reels if we've got like a long video that we've done, like I don't know,
a full refurb beginning to end,
or full refurb. Then our VA will cut a little reel out of it, like a little thing to like sort of advertise it, because it's still got the organic reach, like I was saying, LinkedIn, it's still got quite a bit, it's a new feature, so the algorithm sets it at the top. Reels we do get involved in, not as much as we should do, but we do get involved with the reels now and again.
And you mentioned then, did you say homes under the Dugards?
Yeah, we've got
talk us through that.
We've got some videos. We did quite a few last year or the year before, and they were a real hit on social media, and we literally dropped off social media at one point, but we've just started booking them in again. And it's essentially, we've got our videographer, we book him out for the day to go around some of our properties, we get good before videos, and then he comes back and he does the after videos, but we talk it through almost in like a Homes Under the Hammer kind of style, but we renamed it Homes Under the Dugards. So they're quite fun.
Oh, brilliant. I for my development, I was going to do something similar, like a before, during and after, walking around, showing the plans, all the architecture plans. And I thought, how can I outsource this and do it on the cheap? So I emailed whole uni and just like the media lecturers and said, look, local property investor, I've got this ongoing, here's the details. Are there any students that might be interested in building like a videography portfolio? It'll be on YouTube and all that. They basically come back and said, hope you don't take this the wrong way. We wouldn't feel comfortable sending students to a guy we don't know in uninhabited properties. And I was like, yeah, that's a real safeguarding issue. I didn't think of that. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, makes sense. I'm going to have to pay someone to actually do it professionally. But I thought, I could try outsource it, give a bit back, let someone else do something for their student portfolio. But I didn't really think that through, did I? But no, so how do people watch that then? Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on we've got them on YouTube and Instagram. We've actually put it on our
the full videos are on YouTube though, aren't they? They just
and
click
Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram and YouTube are where the full videos are. YouTube's got all of them.
Okay. So where where can people find you then? What's your your Instagram links, Facebook? How can people find you?
Yeah, we're pretty much Dugard Property on everything. George Dugard on LinkedIn, Hannah Robson for now. On LinkedIn. But yeah, we're literally just Dugard Property on all channels.
Brilliant. Yeah. And for people interested in investing, would you prefer them go down that way? Can they, arrange a call for you? Best to go on your website, put in a form.
The website's just about to be updated, but it's still live and in use now. So there is a contact form on there that goes through to our team mailbox. So yeah, through the message on social media, wherever works best for those, and then we can go from there.
Fantastic. And I'm just going to ask a few questions before we finish. And these are the questions that I ask most people. What would you say has been the biggest challenge, whether it's in business, property, it doesn't have to be property related. But what would you say the biggest challenge has been? Was it been working together?
Working with builders.
Yeah. I was going to say, what do you think?
Yeah, working with builders. Oh my
Working-
goodness.
Is that because you have a lot of projects ongoing at the same time where you have to use different teams, and you obviously, because of the scale you're at and the refurbs you do, you can't have one team?
Oh, I could give you a list of reasons.
It's just every builder works completely differently. Some builders want 50% up front, some builders want 20% up front, some kick out their toys out the pram if you haven't paid them that instant they ask for it. A lot of builders don't like to turn up.
Oh, yeah, there's a thing going, you know, I used to work in construction years ago in London, that nothing fancy, but you know, you'd be on a job or stuff like that. A geezer who's working on the same bit with you like the day before just ain't booked up, or you know, you got a plasterer that's supposed to come around the house on the weekend because he's doing a Saturday. You know, you're there to let him in, they don't turn up. It just wastes your time as well, doesn't it? It's infuriating.
I think we've got every story under the sun. We've come across every rogue builder in South Wales, I think.
Yeah.
We've had police on jobs, we've found people sleeping on jobs, smoking weed on jobs, we've had all sorts.
We've had it all, basically.
Yeah.
But
I think
at least we know who not to use in South Wales.
Exactly, yeah. You've kissed a few frogs, really, ain't you?
Yeah, but it's like you said, even with the ones that we work with really well, there's always problems, isn't there? And even if it's down to the sheer amount of work they've got on, every builder still wants to say they want more. It's a real rarity that you get someone who says, no, hold fire, I'm at my capacity. And it's just managing, you know, the expectations between clients and builders. And when a builder, as we've just mentioned, when a builder says something is going to be done or how long it will take to be done,
double it.
Yeah,
you always add a bit on, don't you? Yeah. You had the contingency on for your refurb costs, and you had a fucking massive one on for your refurb time.
Yeah,
exactly.
Fantastic. And I find solicitors, not necessarily my ones are right, but when vendors and buyers have their own solicitors, like bleeding a stone, trying to get the information out and said, oh, I've sent it to this person, well, I ain't received it, and you just think like there must be a way. And I think that I think the next big thing in the property space has to disrupt the solicitors. So do you know, like agents and getting information? I think Zoopla were looking at doing it, getting a contract pack ready for the solicitors to take all the hassle up front. You know, the agents and sources or whatever be able to have a checklist of things that they can build ready to give to a solicitor. And I think something needs to happen. You know, I know deeds need to be wet signature. Anything over 3 years needs a wet signature, but there must be a way where things can be systemized in order to speed up the conveyancing process. Because even, you know,
that would be amazing.
Yeah. So anyone listening out there who can do that, you know,
let us know.
Yeah, let us know. What do you say has been the biggest achievement?
I think the biggest achievement is getting our time back. I know a lot of people probably are thinking, why would that be your biggest achievement? But, you know, for us, we came into this for a bit more freedom, a bit more time. You know, we're never going to stop working because we're entrepreneurs at the end of the day. We like working and we keep our minds occupied and stuff. But there was a stage where last year we were working 12, 14-hour days every day, 7 days a week.
Living off takeaways.
Just absolute mayhem. Our life was chaos. It's taken us almost 15 months to refurbish our own house because of it. So yeah, it was bonkers. So our biggest achievement was actually being able to transform things around, stop services that we didn't particularly enjoy or wasn't giving us the most profit, and sort of narrowing our focus on and bringing some time back into our life so we can actually enjoy our lives. That was probably our biggest achievement, I would say. What would you say?
I agree.
Yeah.
A very close second, I think, would be, so my dad's quite old school. He's worked in IT for, since he finished college. Well, 16, he'd been in IT. And when I said I was going to leave my full-time job, or even when we opened the business, my dad was the one who was very much like, don't leave your job, don't do this, like, this is your safety blanket, this is your pension, this is that, this, that, and the other. And we've just hired him. He's coming
Really?
on board full time with us. So he's left his job. So I think he's come full circle, being so scared to now being like, no, let me be part of it. I want to be part of it. So I think that was a huge achievement, changing his mindset.
Oh, that is amazing. The fact that, you know, you probably freed up a lot more of his time, and he's probably going to be, you know, potentially more happy. That don't really sound grammatically correct, does he? But but no, I agree. Like my dad's the same. I sort of did everything he said not to do. No, I did the opposite of everything he said. You know, leave school at 16, get a job. You know, went sixth form. I was joining the army, ended up moving up north. He was like, don't go travelling, don't go to Australia, you'll regret. You know, went, and best thing happened. Don't start a business. You know, but it's because it's unknown to them, isn't it? Like it's completely different. It's changing their mindset. It's a mindset shift. Like even when I was leaving my full-time job, even now, you sit there and think, well, maybe not yourselves, but like obviously going into it, you need to make sure that you aren't really going to screw it over. You got to work hard. Like you're your own boss. You got to breathe down your own neck. You got to make sure that you're working the hours, because if you don't and you're not getting paid, then it's all going to fall apart, isn't it? But it's a great achievement. I bet your dad's chuffed, isn't he? What's it? Has he demanded like double the salary on half the week's work?
We started training him, and then he started emailing, and we noticed on his email signature he said Chief Operations Officer, and we were like, oh, we didn't give you that title.
What's his role then? What's he do? Is he like outsourcing and that, or?
Yeah, so he's gonna come on, and he's essentially gonna take over the day-to-day for the sourcing company, and he's gonna run that and do the business growth, which would be really, really fun, I think. So we can focus more on the strategic stuff, as well as building our portfolio alongside. So it'll free up some of our time, and he's always gone into departments and businesses and grown them, and he loves the team element and growing a team. So it's him all over.
How do you feel about bollocking your new father-in-law, George, if he steps out of line?
I just said if he ever needs a bollocking, Hannah can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Daddy's little girl, she'll be all right. She won't get in trouble. Oh no, that's great work. Listen, we're sort of coming to a close now, but I just want to say thanks for coming on the podcast. You know, lots of value. I recommend people, you know, getting in touch with you, following you on socials, because like I said, I've sort of seen from the background from when you first started out full time to where you guys are now, and you've absolutely scaled it and done amazing. So, you know, pleasure to speak to you both. I think it's the first time we've actually probably had a chat, isn't it? Probably met. So, you know, our paths might cross in the future. I might come down to sunny Caerphilly one day. Who knows?
Do it. We'll show you the ropes.
Yeah. To be fair, I was actually supposed to be on a stag do in May in Wales. I don't know if it's north or south, but I'm the Litland, so on a drinking ban in May. Yeah. And especially in Wales, a bit too far back to Hull if she pops into Labour. But listen, pleasure coming on. I'll keep you updated. I'll post all your information, like your socials and that, on the show notes for people.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Take it easy. Thanks.